Like as the waves make towards the pebbled shore, so do our minutes hasten to their end, each changing place with that which goes before. In sequent toil, all forwards do contend. Nativity, once in the main of light, crawls to maturity, wherewith, being crowned, crooked eclipses 'gainst his glory fight, and time, which gave, doth now his gift confound. Time doth transfix the flourish set on youth, and delves the parallels in beauty's brow, feeds on the rarities in nature's truth, and nothing stands but for his scythe to mow, and yet to times in hope thy verse shall stand, praising thy worth despite his cruel hand. Sonnet 60. This is such a cool sonnet. These are my favorite kinds of sonnets. Ones that don't dwell on the fair youth. The fair youth doesn't appear until the last line of this sonnet. It's a contemplative, super thought-provoking 11-line poem, and then he mentions the fair youth. And the way in which he does it, I like the device of the fair youth relative to time. That's not an uncommon thread throughout the sonnets, where he talks about time ravaging a beautiful thing. But man, did this send me down a rabbit hole of time. The line that struck me the most was, like as the pebbles do, like as the waves make towards the pebbled shore, so do our minutes hasten to their end. The idea of a minute as a thing, like a tangible or personified thing, having a life that lasts a minute, that begins and ends within a minute, just got me so, sent me spinning down a line of thinking about what is time, how do we deal with time in 2018 versus when Shakespeare was alive. And I mean, as a science nerd, time fascinates me, but is also like integral to my ability to analyze stuff. It's such a fundamental unit in which we define things that go on around us. But it's also super messed up in terms of its like subjectivity. A minute is a minute, whether you're in a waiting room waiting for bad news about like a prognosis, or whether you're in the midst of like a playoff basketball game. It's still a minute, but it feels totally different. And then the intersection of time with what it means for life, right? Life is a finite, fixed thing, and there's a line about toil. In sequent toil, all forwards do contend. The idea of life as toiling, and that's not an uncommon one for people to have, especially today. I feel like a lot of people feel that way with like, they work 40 hours a week, they hate it. They're just like, the concept of living for the weekend, living for something that's not this moment right now. The idea of life extracting things from you, minute to minute, second to second, as opposed to life being the source of energy in your, like, you know, life as an adjective, lively, has all these connotations of energizing and effusive, like, vital. And yet, to so many people, I feel like going through life is such a wear on a person. And so, thinking about that a little bit, I mean, I feel like that's a good sanity check to have of like checking in and being like, you know what? Being live's kind of cool. There are some annoying bullshit things that happen. That's part of it. But that's something that I wish I did more, is extract momentum and energy out of life as opposed to feeling like it's draining me. Things I did not expect to be thinking about from this sonnet after the first read. But that's like the story with these things. You just end up going down all these weird little paths of thought-provoking stuff. So yeah, Sonnet 60. Sonnet 60, 60 seconds in a minute. That second line has a pun in it. So do our minutes. Hour and minute. OWR minute. Shakespeare's just good at this stuff. Yeah, sorry, I had to throw that in there. But yeah, this was Sonnet 60. I'm going to do 61 next week. Thank you for watching.